This new moon in Aries represents the end of the facade because there is no self-love in the facade. Because there is no authenticity in the facade. It's like when you go to Paramount Studios or Universal Studios and you walk down the streets of New York. Yeah, it's not New York. It's Hollywood. It might look like New York, but it's not New York. It's LA. It's a facade. It's not real. This new moon in Aries, which occurs on Saturday, March 29th at 3:58 a.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time, is about releasing the facade, taking down the facade. Well, I can't take off this mask because then people will really see what I look like. Yeah, that's the point. Take off your mask and show me your zits. Show me your filthy, beautiful pores. Let's see the real you. Let's see the real you. Because the real you is beautiful, no matter what you think. Welcome to the Weekly Transit, your guide to understanding the current planetary and astral alignments. Together, we'll explore how to harness these cosmic frequencies, empowering you to reach your highest potential as you navigate the days ahead. I'm your host, Scott Tajarian. Welcome to the Weekly Transit. This is the week of March 24th through the 30th. Where we will be covering 9 transits. 9 transits highlighted by the new Moon Solar Eclipse in Aries. If you haven't signed up for the Moon Cycle classes, we're going to be discussing the new Moon Solar Eclipse in Aries in addition to the full moon in Libra. You can sign up for the Moon Cycle classes at theweeklytransit.com. We're also highlighting in this episode Mercury and Venus, both retrograding back into Pisces, and Neptune transiting into Aries. 4 highlighted transits amongst 9 transits. This week, things are heating up. The theme of the week is self-love. And we're about to boil over. We're about to hit that rolling boil. We've already started to, all these planets in Aries and Pisces, the water's already started to begin to boil a little bit. But this is the week where it feels like it boils over. So if you're enjoying this content, like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you want to engage. I love to hear what is going on with you, how these transits are affecting you. When I don't hear from you, I'm like, what's going on with everyone? Is everyone okay out there? I don't know. I see my clients and I talk to my clients and people in my classes. So that gives me a finger on the pulse. And of course, there's people in my personal life, but I'd love to hear from you, the listener. If you're not somebody who's working with me, if you're not reaching out for a reading, or you're not a part of a class, or maybe you've had a reading, or maybe you've been a part of a class, I always love to hear from you. Say hi, leave a comment, like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on: Apple, Spotify, YouTube. This is a power-packed week. A power-packed week. Are you enjoying the interviews that I'm doing on the Weekly Transit? This last week, we had Sharice Tatum. What a great interview to have leading into all this chaotic energy. All this Aries and Pisces frequencies that are just boiling us up, creating that heat, that tension, that smoke, that steam. Sharice is somebody who's incredibly inspiring, her story. So inspiring. I highly recommend my interview with Charisse. And the week before that, I highly recommend my interview with Jennifer Paolo. Such just courage. Courage. These women are so courageous. Charisse is courageous. Jennifer is courageous. Jennifer sharing so openly, so authentically the abuse that she experienced as a child, and how religion and spirituality and the esoteric arts have helped her heal as she continues to heal, because we're always healing. Such inspiring individuals. So grateful to have them chatting with me, sharing their stories. And I really hope that they are helping you, they are inspiring you, and they are giving you a perspective on astrology. Because, of course, we're interweaving astrology in these conversations, because it's looking at real life and then looking at the astrology that helps you learn astrology. At least that's how I learned. Was by reflecting the astrology to the reality. And so in this reality that we're living in now, with so many planets in Aries and Pisces, let's just give an overview here. So I have so many planets. Well, what do you mean, Scott? What planets? Okay, well, there is Saturn, the planet of responsibility, achievement, authority. In Pisces, there is the North Node, the soul's purpose, the karmic pathway of the soul. In Pisces, there is Neptune, the planetary ruler of Pisces, in Pisces to start the week. This is where things are. This is where the planets are in the beginning of the week. Where they're in the end of the week is going to switch over, because Neptune's going to move into Aries, while Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, the planet of relationships, and Mercury, the messenger of the gods, guide of souls to the underworld, the planet of consciousness, communication, and coordination, are both transiting from Aries to Pisces, retrograde, moving back. The sun, the planet of vitality, in its exalted position in Aries, and Chiron, the wound, and the ancient wisdom which is unlocked through healing that wound, is also in Aries. So water, fire boils water. Water extinguishes fire. But this feels more like a boiling. And things are heating up. And things are going to heat up this next week, as I'm going to talk about my next interview that's coming up this week, kind of at the perfect time. But before I do that, I do want to mention, if you didn't listen to my conversation with Delisa Hawking, the amazing 5th generation psychic who I've collaborated with many, many times and plan to collaborate with more and more, because she is amazing and I really enjoy our time together. And she has been so gracious to bring me onto her platform, her live on YouTube every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Each week she has a different astrologer on. She's had me on twice already. I was on in February and then again in March. So if you get tired of hearing my voice, you want to hear some other astrologers, go check out Delisa's channel and you can listen to some other astrologers there. Delisa and I get into all the eclipses and the planetary energies, frequencies. We look at different news stories that are hot off the press, so to speak. Is that a terrible old metaphor? And yeah, we reflect the astrology with these news stories. So I'll put a link to that episode in the show notes if you haven't had a chance to check out Delisa and I. But this next week, and also my first interview on the podcast was with Delisa. So if you want to learn more about Delisa and her story, scroll back a few episodes to earlier in the year and you'll see my interview with Delisa on this channel, The Weekly Transit. But this week, I've invited back Ricky King, who was my second interview on the podcast. And boy, was it an intense, fiery conversation. Ricky, the amazing Ricky King, astrologer Ricky King, who was once my pupil, so to speak, somebody I was mentoring for many, many months or years. We worked together weekly for over a year. And now she has moved out of my shadow, not that she ever was in my shadow, because no, like she stands in her own right, just as an individual. Ricky, if you didn't listen to the first episode that I did with Ricky, go back and listen to that, because you want to talk about somebody who is raw, somebody who is just laying it out on the table. Like, this is my life. Deal with it. Because I've dealt with it, but she does it in such an inspiring way. When you hear about everything that Ricky has been through in her life, it'll blow your mind that this woman is thriving now, thriving in her life. And she came on the podcast. I invited her back on again to talk about Lilith transiting into Scorpio. Lilith is not an area of expertise for me. Ricky says, like, well, it's not it's not an area of expertise for me. But Ricky, of course, is selling herself short. She knows a lot about Lilith. She's studied it. She's looked at it, and she's getting her sea legs. I've got to encourage her. Her progressed chart, she talks about the sun is at her midheaven in Sagittarius, so she's really learning to spit that fire. Her North Node is in the 10th house in Sagittarius, so I love bringing her on to hear her voice, to hear her speak from that position of authority. And so we talked about Lilith transiting into Scorpio. I'm not going to get into what that means here. Listen to the episode on Tuesday when I drop it. But boy, did we take a hard turn into some other areas that are very sensitive. And I just want to say that I have absolute love for every single human being on this planet, whatever your ideology is, whatever your perspective is, whatever your viewpoint is. And it is never my intention to harm or hurt or offend anyone that is listening to me, because I'm here to bring empowerment to whoever is hearing this voice. That is my purpose. But we tap into some sensitive areas like gender identity and vaccines and autism. So these sensitive areas, Ricky gets very impassioned, and I might get impassioned too, but I try to keep it simmered down. And so I just want everyone to know that there's love between Ricky and I always, and there's love between whatever it is I'm saying. Even if it doesn't come across that way, I don't know. It's like we live in such a sensitive time that I'm always afraid that, oh God, if I'm talking about politics, if I'm talking about a hot topic like autism or vaccines or gender identity or anything trans, it's like, oh God, I don't want to offend anybody. So, because I have love for everyone and I don't understand what you are going through. I don't walk in your shoes. I walk in my shoes. And so I try to give the perspective of the shoes that I walk in and the people that have talked to me and the perspectives that they've given me. And I try to share those perspectives and bring a balanced approach. But I generally try to steer away from those types of topics because I'm afraid I'm going to offend people or hurt people in some way. And that's never my intention. So please listen to that episode with that understanding, and I'm curious to hear your feedback, and also terrified as well, because I see where the planets are transiting, and I know where they're transiting in relationship to my chart. This week, Neptune transiting into Aries. We'll get into that later in the show. That's the final transit, but just on a personal level, it's going to be starting to square my Mars, and so I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Am I going to lose myself, my direction in some way? And I'm really looking to formulate a community here with the weekly transit. I've been thinking about it a lot. It's really been percolating. I'm still honing out what it's going to be. And I'm really going to need to utilize your feedback, because I want to invite you to be a part of this community. I mean, in a sense, you're already a part of this community because you're listening to the weekly transit, but I'm working on revamping my website, and when it goes live, whenever it's going to go live, I don't know when it's going to go live. We're working on it, and when it's done and we feel good about it, then it's going to go live. And when that is, I'll let you know. But when it happens, I'm going to be offering something called the Cosmic Community. And it's a way for people to engage with me live. You're listening to the podcast right now. It's a recorded session, and I'm going to continue with the podcast. The Cosmic Community is going to be something that is a little broader, let's say. We might be looking at a broader picture of the transits down the line over the next 6 months or 3 months or a year or 3 years. We're going to take broader topics. Maybe we'll talk about some hot topics like autism or gender identity or any sort of taboo subject that might aggravate people in some way. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Of course, I think in this community I'll be the only one talking, which sounds weird now that I'm saying this, but you're going to be able to chat with me live. So whatever you're saying in the chat, I can respond to. If you have a question about your chart, maybe you want to just learn the language of astrology, and I'll be at your disposal, sharing insight into the language of astrology. Maybe there's something going on in pop culture or politics or in the world in general that you want me to break down astrologically. You create the forum, and I will respond through the astrological lens. So I'm thinking about this being a weekly meetup for maybe an hour a week, where if you're a part of the community, then you have access, and I'm going to be sharing knowledge based on what you want me to talk about. So it's kind of like a live weekly transit where you are helping me create the content for you. And it will be recorded, and you can utilize that for your astrological education. So I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. I'm curious to receive your feedback, your input. Is this something you'd be interested in? I really feel like this would be a great support, especially in terms of everything that's coming down the pike over the next couple of years, over the next 4 or 5 years. I think things are going to get really intense, and I really hope that the Cosmic Community is a place that feels like an oasis where we can come together and reflect upon what's going on in our lives. If you feel heavy, if you feel strain or stress, I can look at your chart and give you some input live right there. So it's, in a sense, it's almost like a group reading. And this is to give everyone access, because I want to make it extremely affordable. I'm thinking of maybe doing a tiered offering where one price gets you, every maybe 3 tiers, and every tier gets you into the community. But each tier gets different perks, like let's say a greater discount on a reading. So there'll be more inclusive opportunities, let's say, to work with me one-on-one or within the moon cycle classes, because based on what you're contributing to the Cosmic Community in a monetary sense will reflect in the amount of discounts you'll be able to get through readings and classes. So let me know how that sounds to you. I'm curious to receive your feedback, and I want to find a way to support as many people as I can energetically, using the language of astrology and all the esoteric arts that are at my disposal. So thank you for enduring me in this elongated announcement. Let's dive into the week, where the theme is self-love. Self-love. Self-love because Aries is about self-love. And we have the new moon in Aries. We have Neptune transiting into Aries. Aries is also about fears and insecurities. And before you can get to that place of self-love, you need to face your fears and insecurities. It begins with the first transit. As the sun, the giver of light, life, and vitality, forms a conjunction with Mercury, the messenger of the gods, guide of souls to the underworld, the planet of consciousness, communication, and coordination. Mercury's retrograde. So as the sun moves forward in Aries, Mercury moves retrograde or back through Aries. They meet up at 4 degrees in Aries, where they are aligning in conjunction from Sunday to Tuesday, March 23rd to the 25th, with the exact conjunction occurring on March 24th. So, we must acknowledge our fears and insecurities. Mercury is the planet of consciousness. Aries is the sign that represents self-love, but also fears and insecurities. The water is boiling. When the water is boiling, we are cleansing the toxins from the water. And the toxins are the fears and insecurities. So I'm being very raw right now. I'm being very vulnerable right now. I'm being very transparent right now about some of my fears and insecurities, because I must acknowledge them. I'm a human being, a man. I have fears and insecurities. By acknowledging those fears and insecurities, I can have a greater opportunity to harness my self-confidence by saying, yes, I'm afraid. I'm afraid. And now that I'm afraid, now that I'm acknowledging that fear, I can move forward courageously. Courageously. So what are you afraid of? If you say nothing, you're lying. Or you're unaware. But that awareness will come to fruition perhaps on Monday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. If you are unaware, look at the conflicts that are occurring in your life. Conflicts occur because there is some fear. It's that phrase, hurt people hurt people. Hurt people hurt people. That's the bully mantra. Because bullies are not confident. Bullies are fearful. Bullies are hurt. And so they attack others. They create conflict. And there's a lot of potential conflict occurring this week with all of these Aries frequencies. Be aware early in the week of verbal spats, fights, confrontations, agitations. Somebody's saying something, you're getting triggered, you speak up, you speak out, you lash out. Words may be flying fast and furious here. Be mindful, though, because what you say may hurt somebody. So you want to really harness your words with conscious awareness about what is at the root of them. What is at the root of this word? Love or fear? Love or fear? What is at the root of the words that I'm saying right now? Are they rooted in love or fear? That's the question to ask yourself. As Mercury continues its retrograde transit through Aries, at almost the same time that it forms the conjunction with Mercury, it forms a sextile with Pluto in Aquarius, the god of death, lord of the underworld, the planet of transformation in the fixed air sign symbolized by the water bearer, Aquarius. This is an air-fire connection, sextile, supportive. The world is changing. Society is changing. Join the revolution or be left behind. There's no clinging to the way things always used to be. There is only moving forward or being left behind. The way that we can move forward in the most positive manner is by honoring ourselves. And we honor ourselves by or through self-love. By recognizing that I am who I am. And I'm not trying to be anyone other than me. This is who I was meant to be. I was meant to be Scott Tajarian. And so my only goal is to be the best version of me. And the best version of me is somebody who is accepting, appreciating, and loving who I am. If everybody is honing in on who they are, focusing on themselves, rather than trying to be somebody else, this world will find greater peace. Because you can't be at peace with yourself if you're trying to be like someone else. If you're trying to be like someone else, you're at war with yourself. Now, there may be attributes about another person, a quality that you can take on, but if you're trying to emulate somebody else in terms of who they are, and what they are going after in life, then you're in competition with them. And that creates a warlike frequency. If you are recognizing that you are just here to be you, and you're loving the person that you are from head to toe, inside and out, then the only person that you're really in competition with is yourself. This is part of why I don't listen to other astrologers. Not because I don't think there's other great astrologers out there. Of course there are. But I'm just trying to be me. And I don't want to be influenced by anyone else. So who are you? And how do you fit in within the community? You might say, I don't fit in. Great! Great. Because this Mercury alignment with Pluto is encouraging you to see who you are as an individual. To really recognize who you are as an individual. How you stand out within the group. How you stand out within the group. Go back to March 5th, because March 5th, Mercury was also forming a sextile with Pluto in Aquarius. At that point, Mercury was direct, Pluto was direct. This time, Mercury is retrograde, Pluto is direct. When we go back, when Mercury transits back into Aries, it's going to form another sextile with Pluto in Aquarius. That's going to happen on April 20th. April 20th. So mark these dates down in your calendar and see, is there anything significant going on with you? March 5th, March 25th, April 20th. Those are the 3 days that Mercury forms a sextile with Pluto in Aquarius. Hopefully, the way I'm thinking about this transit is March 5th, you get that hit. You're like, oh, I'm different than the group. What does that mean? Okay, how can I stand out? Maybe I feel uncomfortable. Maybe I feel like they don't fit in. How do I deal with that? Now on March 25th, because this aspect with the sextile, did I give the dates? It's Monday to Wednesday, March 24th to the 26th, with the exact sextile occurring on March 25th. It's like, okay, this is what I was feeling back in the earlier part of the month. Now I'm a little more comfortable here being myself in this group. I didn't feel like I fit in the beginning of the month. Now I'm kind of finding my way. I've gotten through that discomfort or that uncomfortable period where I didn't feel like I fit in. I got over it. Or I'm getting over it. Then on April 20th, it's like April 20th, you're flying the freak flag. You're like, this is me. And everyone's like, yes, celebrating you. Celebrating what makes you you. You're telling people, I was so insecure to come here because I didn't feel like I would fit in. And somebody says, who fits in here? None of us fit in. That's why we all fit in. We're all unique. We're all different. And that's what makes us a great group. This is an aspect that's really encouraging us to be ourselves. It's encouraging you to be yourself. It's encouraging you to really harness your individuality within the community. To be authentically, transparently, uniquely you. Unapologetically you. This is who I am. Like it, don't matter. There's 8 billion people on planet Earth. There's plenty of people here to like me, and I don't have to please all of them. Now there's some fear that comes with this because the third transit of the week is one that this has been the one that has really been boiling the water over the last several weeks. This transit has been occurring from March 16th and lasts until April 1st, with the exact aspect occurring on Wednesday, March 26th. This is Mars, the god of war, the planet of aggression, conflict, courage, confidence, transiting through Cancer, the cardinal water sign symbolized by the crab, ruled by the moon, very sensitive, very emotional, representing the past, your roots, your upbringing, your childhood, the ones who raised and nurtured you, your ancestors, your bloodline. Mars has been taking an aggressive look at our past since early January when it retrograded back into Cancer. It first formed this square, which is with Chiron, the wounded healer, the ancient wisdom which is unlocked through healing that wound, which is transiting through Aries, the sign that's ruled by Mars. Mars first aligned with Chiron in this square, a very tense aspect, a 90-degree angle. You're driving down the road, you turn 90 degrees, you got to slow down. It's tense. It's a square. You're squaring off. You're fighting with each other. You're doing a square dance. Either way, it creates tension. You got to move to release the tension. The first aspect with Mars in Cancer and Chiron in Aries most recently was October 13th of this past year. They squared off again on February 3rd, and they've been kind of in a loose square with each other ever since early February. Or late January even. They've been moving closer and closer into alignment, which is reaching that boiling point where they're squaring off exactly on Wednesday. So this is pushing us, forcing us to face our fears and insecurities. And what is at the root of these fears and insecurities? Why am I afraid? Why am I afraid somebody's not going to like what I said on the podcast? Well, because I spoke up in the past in my childhood and people didn't like me. They got upset at me. I was bullied as a kid. My dad abused me. All the stories. So I got to spend work going back in time and really being there with my younger self. Encouraging my younger self. Telling little Scott, you were tiny. Your dad was 20 times the size of you. That's intimidating. When you think about you're a baby, you're 20 times smaller than your parents. You're 20 times smaller than an adult. That's scary. When they yell, when they hit things, if they hit you, that leaves an energetic ripple effect that carries into your adulthood, where you're just waiting for somebody to hit you energetically in some way, just like you were as a child. So we need to go back into our past, and we need to reflect upon the abuse that was incurred based on our elders or our peers as children. Another child is abused in the home and then comes to the school and bullies you. Papa bird, baby bird. Mama bird, baby bird. Parent hits child. Child goes to school, hits other kid. Hurt people hurt people. There's some deep healing work that needs to be done this week. I pray that we are all doing the work that we need to do so that we can come forward confidently, courageously, rather than from that place of fear. But I'm accepting that, whatever happens, happens. Because whatever happens is what needs to happen for us to collectively heal. Right after Mars squares Chiron, and it's going to continue to square Chiron, but after that exact square on Wednesday, March 26th, Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, the planet of relationships, retrogrades back from Aries into Pisces on Thursday, March 27th, where it will remain in Pisces, retrograding back from 29 to 24 degrees in Pisces from March 27th to April 12th, when it goes direct in Pisces at 24 degrees and then moves forward and transits out of Pisces on April 30th. So where Venus is on March 27th is where Venus will be on April 30th at 29 degrees in Pisces, the final degree of Pisces. This is one of the highlighted transits. Just the first one, we just went through 3 transits. They feel intense. But yeah, there's a lot going on this week. Venus is exalted in Pisces. It's in a position of power. The goddess of love and beauty, in order to love, you need to have empathy for how others are feeling. And that's why I always want to make sure I'm having empathy for everyone, because I'm a Pisces moon, and that's why it hurts me so much when I feel like I haven't had empathy, or if people say I'm not being empathetic. Oh my God, that's the worst feeling ever. That's why I do this podcast, because I want to help. I want to help the people that are listening here. I want you to feel peaceful, tranquil, supported. I want to invite you into the warm cocoon of my energetic aura, where I'm holding you in and saying, yes, you are here for a reason. You are loved. You are seen. You matter. Yes, and that is what Venus is in Pisces. It's really helping us engage with our partners, our lovers, our friends, our business partners, and saying, I feel you. I feel what you're going through. I'm sorry you're hurting. What can I do to help ease your pain? What can I do to help ease your suffering? Now, the flip side to this coin is be careful about people taking advantage of you. That's something that I've had to deal with my whole life. As a Pisces moon, people recognize I'm very empathetic, and so they play upon my my generosities of spirit and compassion. So if you're somebody who's a Pisces moon, Pisces sun, Pisces rising, this is something that you can empathize with, I'm sure. But for all of us with Venus transiting through Pisces, we're going to be reflecting upon our relationships heavily during this retrograde. So there may be feelings of guilt, shame, regret, blame that come up here where it's like, oh, the reason why my partner is suffering is because of me. I'm the one who harmed them. I wish I didn't say what I said. I wish I didn't do what I did. They wouldn't be suffering. But these thoughts present an opportunity for you to show yourself compassion. Compassion because that's what you deserve. Because even if you did something that harmed a friend, harmed a lover, harmed anyone that you were in relationship with, even if you did something that harmed them, if you're recognizing now that you harmed them and you have regret, you have remorse, you've learned the lesson. I mean, think of it as a child. If a child pushes another kid, let's say a bully, what do? Do you put that child in prison for the rest of its life? You push that other kid, now you go to prison forever. No. Say, that's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to put your hands on somebody that doesn't want your hands on them. Would you want somebody to push you? No? Okay, well then don't do that to other people. What is your reason for pushing? What was your thinking there? Trying to understand, you try to empathize with the child, even the bully. What made you do that? It's a teaching moment. And we have these teaching moments into adulthood. We want to have greater compassion for ourselves and empathy for the ones that we're in relationship with. Some deep reflections happening in relationships from March 27th to April 30th. Think back to these previous dates for clues on what could be in store for you as Pisces makes this month-long but short Pisces, as Venus makes this short transit in terms of degrees, but it's over a month, which is actually kind of a long transit for Venus, because Venus is really only transiting through a sign for about 3.5 weeks. But what was going on in your relationships between April 5th and May 2nd, 2022? January 26th to February 19th, 2023. March 11th to April 4th, 2024. And this past year, January 2nd to February 3rd. Think back to those dates for clues on what could be in store for you this time around as Venus makes this short transit through Pisces for over a month, but only the last 6 degrees. What's in your chart in earth or water signs, mutable signs between 24 and 29 degrees. Those signs, if you're unfamiliar, are Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Virgo, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, and Pisces. If you have any key points or planets between 24 and 29 degrees in those 8 signs, then Venus is making a direct aspect to that key point or planet sometime between March 27th and April 30th. If you're unclear and you would like to get more insight into what that could mean for you, I encourage you to contact me for a reading at theweeklytransit.com. If you're curious about your astrological code, if you want a deeper understanding of who you are, why you're here, what you're here to do, contact me for a reading at theweeklytransit.com. If you're going through a crisis, if you're struggling in life in some way, if you feel confused, if you're lacking clarity, contact me for a reading at theweeklytransit.com. I'm here to support you. I'm here to empower you. I'm here to help you understand who you are so you can accept, appreciate, and love the divine, unique miracle that is you. I have compassion for you. I have empathy for you. As Venus transits back into Pisces, it forms that immediate conjunction with Neptune, the planetary ruler of Pisces, at 29 degrees in Pisces, the final degree. Venus formed this conjunction earlier this year as it transited out of Pisces and into Aries. That was back on, when was that? That was back on, let's go back, that was early February. That was February 1st. So February 1st, Venus formed a conjunction with Neptune. Here it is again, forming that conjunction. That is occurring from Thursday to Saturday, with the exact sextile actually occurring on Thursday, March 27th. So is there a connection for you between February 1st, early February, late January, and the end of March? This is really amplifying the frequency of compassion, empathy, intuition, but also delusion and deception. So this is a time to really ground yourself into your relationships. Focus on the reality. Don't get lost in the fantasy, especially with the retrogrades. Not just Venus retrograde, but Mercury retrograde. Ground yourself into reality. Don't get lost in the fantasy. Reflect upon the fears of your unconscious that are bubbling to the surface as the water boils. And cleanse yourself of the guilt, shame, regret, and blame. The anxiousness that you feel to delve into the fantasy of what you want your relationship to be is rooted in fear. Because love is patient. Love is not anxious. Fear is anxious. Love is patient. We want to slow down in the fog. And there's a lot of fog around relationships right now. And that fog may come up because of all the fire that is occurring in Aries. Venus goes from Aries, which is fire. So maybe you get in a big fight with your lover, your friend, your business partner, and then Venus transits back into Pisces and you're like, I give it all up to you. I'm so sorry I fought. I'm so sorry I was fighting you. You can have everything. Take me. Take me, whatever you want. No. Pump the brakes. Slow down. It's great that You are attempting to empathize with your partner, but you don't need to give up your autonomy. That is rooted in fear. You were in a fight for a reason. You were in a conflict for a reason. You needed to bring the stagnant energy to the surface so that you could cleanse it with compassion. You could say, I'm sorry that we were fighting, but I'm glad we had a fight because it brought to surface some issues that we've been hiding from, that we need to deal with. And now I'm seeing things a little more clearly, I think, from your side. I hope you're seeing things a little more clearly from my side. Hopefully we can be more empathetic to each other, more compassionate with each other, but there's no need to make any drastic decisions with Venus retrograde, especially in Pisces, because we might not be thinking clearly. So we want to release those fears. And that leads us to the creme de la creme transit of the week, the new moon solar eclipse in Aries. Wow. This is the magic of the language of astrology, the cosmos, the planets and stars, because this is the third and final new moon at 9 degrees of the 6 new moons at 9 degrees, beginning with 3 in 2024, concluding with 3 in 2025. There was the new moon in Pisces, the new moon in Aquarius, the new moon in Capricorn, the new moon in Sagittarius, and the new moon in Scorpio. So in 2024, we had the new moons in Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Capricorn were all at 9 degrees. And in 2025, we had the new moons in Aquarius, Pisces, and now Aries, all at 9 degrees. 9 is the final single digit. This is 2025. 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5 is 9. The final single digit represents endings. Endings. And this new moon in Aries is the end of the facade. This new moon in Aries represents the end of the facade because there is no self-love in the facade. Because there is no authenticity in the facade. It's like when you go to Paramount Studios or Universal Studios and you walk down the streets of New York. Yeah, it's not New York. It's Hollywood. It might look like New York, but it's not New York. It's LA. It's a facade. It's not real. This new moon in Aries, which occurs on Saturday, March 29th at 3:58 a.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time, is about releasing the facade, taking down the facade. Well, I can't take off this mask because then people will really see what I look like. Yeah, that's the point. Take off your mask and show me your zits. Show me your filthy, beautiful pores. Let's see the real you. Let's see the real you. Because the real you is beautiful. No matter what you think. Hopefully, you're following these frequencies and you're like, what do you mean, Scott? I think I'm beautiful. I love myself. Okay, great. You're following the frequency, but this solar eclipse, this is the moon moving between the sun and the earth. The sun is burning up all of the emotional baggage. All of the emotional baggage that is preventing you from loving yourself. Because you don't think you're good enough. You don't think you're pretty enough. You don't think you're handsome enough. You don't think you're smart enough. You're strong enough. You are. You're all of the above. You're beautiful. You're handsome. You're strong. You're smart. You're here. You're here. Beauty, brilliance, they're all based on opinion. And if you want to attract love to you, which is what we need more than anything right now, then you need to love yourself. And so during this new moon solar eclipse, you need to allow this frequency to burn off all of your emotional insecurities and fears. Burn it off, release it, and set your intentions to be confident, courageous, authentic, transparent, and self-loving. Because that's what you deserve. But just because I say it, it's encouraging you. I say it to encourage you. I say it because it's the truth. Because you have such incredible value. Such incredible value. Your value is incomprehensible. It is priceless because there can never be another you. You've heard me say it before. The next time the planets and stars will be aligned in the way that they were aligned when you were born is over 25,000 years from the date, time, and place of your birth. So you are a divine, unique miracle. Treat yourself as such. Because I can say that you deserve love. But really the only person that it matters saying it is you. You need to say, I deserve love. I am lovable. I am love and I am loved. I feel like this is a day where, I feel like it's like Superman just like ripping off Clark Kent's suit. And there is the Superman suit right there. Like that's what this full moon, it's a new moon lunar eclipse feels like to me. But in actuality, it's probably going to be all of us in the fetal position, like coming out like, oh my God, I'm going to make it out of this. Wow, and as this is happening, Mercury is transiting back into Pisces on the same day, March 29th, Saturday. It's going to transit through Pisces the last 3-4 degrees from 29 to 26, from March 29th to April 15th. The planet of the conscious mind transiting into the sign of the unconscious, moving in tandem with Venus. Bringing that conscious awareness to our unconscious. So as we are shedding and burning off the emotional insecurities, we're going to become aware of the guilt, the shame, the regret, the blame. Maybe it might be like, I'm shedding off all my insecurities just like Scott encouraged me to do. But damn it, why is it taking me so long to even recognize this? I'm so angry at myself that I've allowed myself to be put down by myself all these years. Give yourself a break. Give yourself a break. Pump the brakes right there. Because now you're in the guilt, shame, regret, blame. Well, if only I would have been loving myself since this year, since, 1938, if I was loving myself since then my life would have been so much better the last, 90 years. Okay, enough. Stop. You are perfect. You are right on time. You are perfect. You are right on time. You are right on time. The egg hatches when it's meant to hatch. Everything is occurring within the divine timeline. So honor your timeline. The tree will sprout when it's ready. The egg will hatch when it's ready. You will become awakened to whatever you need to become awakened to whenever you need to become awakened to it. There's no, I'm late. What? Based on what? Somebody else's timeline. Now you're judging yourself to someone else. And that's rooted in fear, not love. You're not loving yourself and you're not loving them when you're comparing yourself to someone else. So you do that, and you know what you do next? Oh, I forgive myself. I show myself compassion. I realize that I'm comparing myself to someone else, and I'm doing that because I'm afraid. I'm afraid I'm not doing it right. I'm afraid I've done it wrong all these years, and now I'm finding out about it, and it's too late. Those are all thoughts that are rooted in fear. And I recognize that. And so I'm going to love myself. I'm going to forgive myself. I'm going to recognize that fear is a part of life. There's nothing wrong with being afraid. It's only wrong when you're staying there all the time, constantly. We got to have the fluctuation in the flow. Fear to love. Fear to love. Fear to love. It can't be fear, 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 fear. And it can't be love, 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 love all the time either. Because then that's fake. It's not real. No, I'm angry right now. Okay, anger is going to wake me up to the fear. Which now I face the fear. I show myself love. Okay, now I feel better. I'm forgiving myself. I'm understanding myself. I'm accepting and appreciating myself. Yes. Now I'm in love with myself. Until something happens that makes me angry, makes me anxious, makes me impulsive. Now I'm acting out of fear. And now we revert back to love. Oh, where's that fear coming from? That's how the healing happens. So really think about, there's a lot of depth going on with the mind, March 29th to April 15th. Think back to these dates. March 16th to April 11th, 2020. March 15th to April 3rd, 2026. March 9th to March 9th to the 27th, 2022. March 2nd to the 18th, 2023. February 23rd to March 9th, 2024. And this year, February 14th, Valentine's Day to March 3rd, 2025. These are the most recent dates that Mercury has transited through Pisces. They're going to give you insight into what could be in store as Mercury just transits back through these last 4 degrees of Pisces. So again, remembering the signs that I mentioned with Venus in Pisces, they're the same for Mercury in Pisces. If you have key astrological points or planets between 26 and 29 degrees in Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Virgo, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, or Pisces, then Mercury is going to be aligning with those key astrological points or planets between March 29th to April 15th. It may create confusion, illusion, deception, insight, intuition, compassion. It all depends on what planet is aligning with Mercury. And again, if you're curious to know how these transits are affecting you and you are unsure, you can contact me for a reading at theweeklytransit.com. I'm here to support you, empower you, encourage you, and offer clarity as you navigate your way through life on Earth. As Mercury retrogrades back into Pisces, guess which planet aligns with? The same one that Venus did, Neptune. So Venus transited back into Pisces, aligned with Neptune again, just as it had early February. Mercury also aligned with Neptune in that conjunction. That happened back on March 2nd. So Venus aligned in a conjunction with Pisces on February 1st. Mercury did it on March 2nd. And then they're both doing it again this week. So that's going to bring about greater intuition. March 29th to the 31st, with the exact conjunction occurring on Saturday, March 29th. It's going to awaken you to the depths of your inner psyche and what may be preventing you from manifesting your dreams into reality. You know what's preventing you from manifesting your dreams into reality? The guilt, the shame, the regret, the blame. When you integrate those thought patterns and memories with understanding, forgiveness, and love for yourself, you're able to manifest your dreams into reality instead of your nightmares. So this is why it's so important to face your fears and insecurities, because your fears and insecurities will lead you to the guilt, the shame, the regret, the blame. And once you're at the guilt, the shame, the regret, the blame, and you're showing yourself compassion, so you can integrate those thought patterns and memories with understanding, forgiveness, and love for yourself, and recognition that you are here to learn. You are already perfect. Though you make decisions that you would probably not make again, that's okay. It's how you learn. You forgive yourself, and then you open yourself up to the possibilities that exist, which are like, wow, I didn't even know this was possible. And it's happening for me right now, and I'm so grateful. This work is so important because on March 30th, Sunday, that is when the collective of our psychological baggage gets rolled out into the middle of the street in a dumpster and lit on fire. So you want that dumpster to be more empty than full. And the way to make sure that the dumpster is more empty than full is by doing that inner work. Forgiveness, self-love. We're just going to get a taste here of Neptune in Aries. This is from March 30th to October 22nd. October 22nd is when Neptune's going to transit back into Pisces before it moves back into Aries, where it's going to be for the next 14 years. But right now we're going to get this appetizer, hors d'oeuvre tasting of Neptune in Aries. And it could be intense. It could be a dumpster fire. But that's why you want to be focusing on your self-love, so that you're not contributing to the collective dumpster fire. I mean, in some way we all are going to be, because we are not absolved of these frequencies. But, hopefully it's less than what it could be. Because Neptune is the planet Neptune's the god of fresh water and the sea. The planet of illusion, deception, compassion, and intuition. Dreams and fantasies. Aries is the cardinal fire sign, symbolized by the ram, ruled by Mars, the god of war. The sign that represents the self. And this is why self-love is the theme of the week, because when Neptune transits into Aries, there may be a lot of self-doubt. Because we are going to need to reimagine the dream of who we are. How we present ourselves into the world. How we are perceived by others in the world. There might be confusion about what that means for each and every one of us, because we need to reimagine who we are in this new world. So if you're feeling doubts about who you are, if you're feeling doubts about how other people perceive you, or if you're confused about who you are, confused how other people perceive you, if you've lost faith in yourself in some way, you're not alone. You're not alone. Everybody is going to experience this in one way or another over the next 14 years. I'll put the exact dates in the show notes, but just to give you some historical context, Neptune transited through Aries from 1533 to 1548, 1697 to 1712, and 1861 to 1875. These were all periods that represented a revival of religious, nationalistic, or utopian zeal, which led to conflicts. Because when you think of Neptune, Neptune is the planet of dreams and fantasies. And Aries is the sign that represents the self, but is ruled by Mars, the god of war. So we may fall into these personal ideologies where it's like, this is who I am, and I'm righteous, and I have faith in God, and this is what God is telling me to do. And then someone else is saying that, yeah, God's telling me to do this, and that's in direct conflict with you. So there may be some very intense, confusing conflicts that occur during this Neptune in Aries transit. Not necessarily over the next 6 months, but over the next 14 years, certainly. Now, this is going to bring about leaders, because when you think of Aries, Aries is the sign of leadership. It's going to bring about leaders that emerge with a divine mission. That I was called by God to lead. And people are like, yes, we must follow him or her. There could be propaganda-driven wars. Wars and movements that are justified by ideology, faith, or nationalism. This is a period that could bring about conflicts, not over territory or resources, but over ideologies. Religious wars, religious views, or views in terms of this is how I see myself in the world, and I see myself different than you. And when you think about it in the context of Pluto in Aquarius, and that lower frequency of Pluto in Aquarius, it's if you don't look like me, you don't act like me, you don't talk like me, there's something wrong with you. And that is going to be amplified potentially by Neptune's transit into Aries. I mean, maybe something does really pop off this summer. I mean, that's something that, I would want to get into more in the cosmic community because that's more of a broader topic. It's not really focused on the week, but, just giving you a hint of the broader perspective. There's going to be a period this summer where Saturn and Neptune and in Aries and Uranus in Gemini and Pluto in Aquarius are all going to be aligning with each other. Positive aspects, so I want to think that it's going to be positive, but it could also push people into the brink of acting out in a way that is not considerate of others, that is more conditioned upon the desires of the self. I mean, Neptune in Aries creates like the holy war archetype. it's about belief. Like, you just look at history. 1533 to 1548 was the Protestant Reformation and religious wars. This period was marked by the spread of the Protestant Reformation, which challenged the dominance of the Catholic Church. Religion and ideological fervor, which is a hallmark of Neptune and Aries, fueled major conflicts, including the Schmalkaldic War. Schmalkaldic War. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but I was just doing some research on the history. And that was a war between Protestant and Catholic forces in the Holy Roman Empire. King Henry VIII of England finalized the English Reformation, breaking the Catholic Church and breaking from the Catholic Church and establishing the Church of England. I mean, if that's not Neptune and Aries, then I don't know what is. That's a king saying, you know what? I'm above this church now. I'm going to make my own church. Conquistadors were expanding their influence in the Americas, driven by dreams of wealth and divine destiny, often justifying conquest through religious and utopian ideals. I think of all the people that came from Europe to South America, North America, and started imposing their religious views on the native people. Yeah, 1697 to 1712 was the War of Spanish Succession in the Age of Exploration. The War of Spanish Succession, which was 1701 to 14, erupted over the power vacuum left by the death of the Spanish king, with multiple European powers vying for control. This brought about ideological justifications, and this war was framed as a battle to prevent a single dominant empire from controlling Europe, because everyone was trying to grasp that power. It was also an age of exploration, European powers expanding their global reach, driven to illusions by boundless opportunity and divine destiny, that we are spreading the word of God and receiving the bounty in return. Utopian philosophical thought surged in the 1700s, the early 1700s. In Enlightenment circles, thinkers started to push forward radical ideas that would fuel revolutions. And then, of course, 1861 to 75 was the American Civil War and nationalist uprisings. The American Civil War was 1861 to 1865. So this occurred right at the onset of Neptune transiting into Aries. Ideological and moral struggle over slavery and states' rights, with both sides believing they were fighting for a just cause. Neptune and Aries made this not a war about politics, but ideals. During this period, Garibaldi's campaigns united Italy under a single nationalist vision, the Italian unification. The Franco-Prussian War occurred 1870 to 71, which saw the rise of German nationalism and the unification of Germany under Prussian leadership. And the Meiji Restoration in Japan in 1868 marked a major ideological transformation, blending modern with national identity in a radical restructuring of Japan's government and society. So expect some shifts in the identity of yourself and the world around you. It might be very confusing. Let's do our best to not get sucked into stark ideologies. It's going to be a challenge to remain peaceful. With Neptune transiting through Aries for so long, 14 years, whatever's happening, this is meant to help you cultivate faith in yourself. I hope what we've shared here on this episode has encouraged you to find that faith within yourself through self-love, understanding, appreciation, and acceptance. Have faith. Cultivate faith in yourself. Recognize that the higher power speaks through you, speaks through each and every individual in their own unique way. And you will find that inner peace through self-love and faith. Until next week. Thank you for listening to the weekly transit. If you're curious to learn how these transits or any other transits may be affecting you, or if you're interested in learning more about your astrological code, contact me for a reading at theweeklytransit.com. This episode was produced by me, Scott Tajarian. Music written by Ben Leinbach from Listen Deep by Amber Herzog-Lyman. Wishing you all the best as you ride the planetary waves.